Hello everybody, my name is Disuko and welcome back to another video, and in this one I am breaking down the song that me and Telestra made for his latest video, We Built the Ultimate Game Boy Color. Yeah, so we collaborated on the video. I built a Game Boy for Ty, sent it off to him. Very wonderful process, it was great. We recorded the whole thing, and that video is over on his channel if you'd like to check that out. But we also thought it'd be kind of cool to record a song together, because I produce electronic music, Ty has had some experience producing electronic music, and he also plays electric guitar. So we figured that we should record a little song. So this is Ice Cream, Ty and Disuko's Froyo edition, and it's actually a reimagining of a song I did a while ago, off of my EP Sugar Rush called Ice Cream. If you'd like to listen to the full song, that will be linked down in the description. It should be out by the time that you're watching this, and also go check it out in Ty's video. Yeah, I guess I'll just kind of play some of the main parts of the song, and I'll show you how I broke them down. So let's start with the intro. Right, we got a couple of things going on here, but the main thing is this wonderful little riff that, whoa, the window gets all weird, is this wonderful little riff that Ty recorded on his electric guitar. So let me get that, what that just sounds like on its own without any effects, without any time remapping or anything. This is what Ty sent me. Oh my god, this looks terrible. I haven't opened this project with my new theme yet. Let me, revert that. Okay, there we go, much better. And now I'm not flashbanging everyone. Anyways, here's what Ty sent me. Yeah, so that is what the full thing is based around, and I increased the BPM a little bit. So then we have the guitar sounding like this. Let me turn on that tempo automation. Right. So I have this routed kind of interestingly. So our first effects chain, we were distorting it a little bit, giving it a little bit of cool crunch. And then I just did some EQ. These frequencies were kind of harsh after all of the effects I put on it. We also have this EQ on it that, if I remember correctly... Guess not. I thought maybe I adjusted the EQ to get less over time, but I guess I didn't. Yeah, anyways, we have a fruity balance on there, which I believe is automated in some parts where the dynamics got a little too loud. I could just take it back a little bit. We also have another effects rack over here, where we're using OTT to crush it a little bit. We have a chorus for some extra stereo width, a wave shaper to add some more crunch to it. And then another EQ just to get rid of the sub-frequencies. So that is the main loop that's kind of used throughout the whole song. Yeah, so originally it has this little ding-dong at the end. But I actually cut that part out and saved it for the second half of the phrase, and I used this part of it. Then I also have a harmony layer, which is another layer that Ty sent me, which is also going through that same final effects rack as the other one, but it has some extra effects on it. We have an ozone imager, which is a really great plugin. It lets you add stereo width to basically any sound. Yeah, so without it, it's just a full mono signal, but if we stereoize it, it gives it a lot more space. It's a lot like wider, and with a reverb on it, it also lets it kind of fill up the space a little bit more. This one is a little bit more focused on the high end, and then together they sound like this. Yeah, very, very pretty little pattern that Ty sent. Then I just have some extra effects down here. Cute little crash from the Porter Robinson Nurture preset pack. This big rumble impact. And then another rumbly virtual riot impact. And one thing that's pretty cool is we have this little ding, which is actually from Windows XP. Given that the topic of the video is like a Game Boy and it's like old tech and stuff, I thought it would be kind of cool to use some of the old Windows XP sounds in there. So I did that. Just kind of a cool thing that I made. Yeah, to make the Windows XP ding a little bit more interesting, I'm using basically a delay and like a reverb. I'm putting it on the ding. Here, I can kind of demonstrate this right now. So I've sent this to a new channel, and I just absolutely smother it in like reverb and stuff. Let's put a bunch of reverb on it. Let's put a delay on it, like set to ping pong mode, so it goes back and forth. There we go, very pretty, has that nice tail. Now, if I render this out by just clicking the little record button down here and then going up here and then doing render armed tracks to wave files and let that go. We end up with a rendered out version of it. And then what's cool about this thing is that it has like the reverb and delay and the tail baked into it. So I can just reverse it. Give it a sec. And then I have a nice little riser that it's kind of a little bit like tonal, and it kind of brings us into this next section. Yeah. Then we had something really cool here. We just have a nice little lead patch going on here, which is in Serum, and this melody is from the original song Ice Cream. When I originally produced Ice Cream back in the day, I wasn't really that experienced with producing yet, so the mixing isn't the best, the sound selection isn't the best, but I am really proud of the little melody that I made. So it's really nice to kind of breathe new life into it with the help of Ty. Yeah, so we got a couple of layers here. Our first one is this very atmospheric thing. Using the noise off of the microKORG, I actually own a microKORG, so I could have played this on my real microKORG, but I was lazy, and I just made it in Serum. So yeah, without effects, this is a pretty basic sound. Kind of sounds bad, honestly. But if we just drench it in reverb, we have like a soothe on here, which basically will take like harsh frequencies, and then it's like depending on how loud they are, it'll like decrease the loudness of it. So I kind of chose where in the sound it was harsh, which is around there. Oh, and the distortion on here is set to downsample, so it gets bit crushed. And it's like, wow, so retro, just like the Game Boy. This is a cursed EQ curve. Don't do this. I don't know why I did it like this. Just getting rid of a bit of the high end, and then we have a reverb. It gets very spaced out. Then we have crystallizer, which is a like granular delay kind of thing. It's really neat. It's a little bit more special than a normal delay because it takes grains of the sound, and it will like reverse them and choose different parts of it, and you can like You can like pitch it up and stuff. It's very cool. Really good for building atmosphere. We have a little EQ on here to get rid of some of the low end. And this is also a pretty neat plugin. This is called Hype. And it is a... I don't know how to explain it. It's a patcher preset that aims to recreate the plugin Endless Smile, which is meant for like building build-ups. It has like a bunch of effects like EQ and like high pass filters and delays and reverbs and stuff that really kind of like wash the sound out. So I'm not actually really using it as a riser here. I'm just using it to wash the sound out a little bit more. And then I have this frequency shifter on here, which I assume at some point I'm automating. And yeah, that's our little background lead layer. Then we have this one, which is just a really simple square wave preset. Chorus, distortion. I don't think I even bothered EQing out the low end here. I can't believe that. Oh my gosh. We have some low end rumble there. That's okay. Yeah. So there's our little intro leads. What else do we have down here? I didn't even notice this down here, but we have some strings to fill out the atmosphere during the intro. This is BBC Symphony Orchestra, which was free for a while. I don't know if it's still free, but it has some really good string patches that are good for little background atmospheres like that. And then during our little kind of build-up section, I suppose. Yeah, I guess that leads us on to the next section. We incorporate this little piano, which is Lab's soft piano. Everyone uses this piano. I hear it in my sleep. It is a very soft piano, as one might guess by the title of it. But it has like a lot of like Foley texture, which is really nice. So we're just kind of doing the same chords there. And it kind of builds up melodically and rises up into the next section. And I'm automating the tempo to speed up. And then we get right into our first little verse section. And I did some chops on Ty's guitar, which sound pretty neat. They would sound neat if I could hear them. Right. Pretty neat. Adds a lot of, it's like a little glitch stutter effect. Then we have a fill from the Nurture Pack. Nurture Pack is very good. And that brings us into our verse. Same guitar as before. It's a little bit faster now. And then I also added this extra harmony layer. It's basically the same thing as before, but it's pitched up an octave. Crystallizer on it. It has Dimension Expander, which is another width adding plugin. Fresh Air does exactly what it sounds like. It kind of just adds some more brightness to the sound, which is really nice as a background layer. And then I have my little mid-side EQ preset here, which literally isn't doing anything. Nice. Same lead as before. But now we add our little background drum layers and whatnot, and we fill out the sound a little bit more. Let's focus on those. Yeah, so underneath just the main drum layers, it's literally just kind of like a little drum and bass pattern. I'm layering an almond break, which adds a little bit more groove to it. This is from a crazy pack of almond breaks I have. Let me find that. There it is, Almond Breaks compilation, which has a bunch of almond breaks, but they're like split up and they're like pre-sliced, so you can literally drag it into any project and it'll like fit with the tempo and stuff, which is very cool. Yeah, these little background percussion elements really add a lot of like groove. On their own, they sound a little bit weird, but in the context of everything else, very cool. And then I added this atmosphere, which is, it's getting automated up and down to get louder and quieter. So it's like almost like a sidechain pump kind of thing that you would find in some like house music or something. It's pretty neat, keeps the song going. And then I have another little serum preset that emulates that exact same thing. Very simple, some default wave tables and some effects. Yeah. Okay, and as we build it up more and more, we added another percussion loop to help us build up into our first drop. And I added this very cute little pluck in the background. Snail's House pluck. This is a pluck pattern that Snail's House uses all the time. Let's play that. Very cute. Let's see. All right. We're building up. We have the same soft piano as before. And I also added this really cute little bit crushed sine pluck, which is a really easy sound to make. But it has a really nice tone to it. So yeah, that's also one of our art layers during the build-up. And our sub bass fills out the sound. One thing I like to do with my sub bass is instead of just having it be a pure sine wave, it's a bit of an offset sine wave, and then we also have some white noise that gets distorted into it, and it kind of adds this like extra crunch to the sub that you wouldn't normally hear. And it adds a lot because it lets your sub bass be heard on cheaper sound systems that might not be able to perfectly reproduce these really low subtones, which is pretty cool. Yeah, that's about it for the build-up, I guess. We just have some like risers. This one goes throughout the entire thing. Having risers in the middle of build-ups also is a good way to kind of build out the structure of the song. Because by default, you might think, oh, I just want to have my downlifter at the beginning of the section and my riser at the end of the section. But if you kind of put one in the middle, kind of thinking of your build-ups in like steps instead of just like one big thing can be helpful in kind of adding more structure to the song. And yeah, I guess we have some extra strings down here again, which kind of go up in volume, and they follow the same pattern as those other atmosphere layers in helping us build up. And then we have a little fake out. We go into this little atmospheric thing. The tempo drops back down again. We have the most generic atmospheric female vocal sample you've ever heard in your life. I was originally going to have this as a placeholder, but I honestly really liked it, so I just kept it in there. We're building up with our kick and snare. One thing I like to do during build-ups is kind of low pass the kick in over time. It's like very intense, but it works really well, especially if you kind of have it structured to where the kick hits really hard on like the one of each measure and then goes back down. So I just use like the built-in FL Studio feature where you can click and drag on this little dot, and it kind of lets you get these more interesting like dynamic shapes. a little bit differently. It sounds more organic than it would be if it was just straight eighth notes. Got some bird atmosphere going on in the background. Yeah, that's about it for the build-up. This little sweep is cool too. Okay, anyways, fake out drop into our actual drop. Very, very euphoric. That's part of why I love this melody so much, is it's just so uplifting. So yeah, I guess kind of the main thing I'm adding in this drop section is it's pretty similar to our like verse part. But the main thing I'm adding is this slice X, where I literally just dragged and dropped Ty's guitar sample into it. And it like slices it up into kind of little peaks. So then I just went in the piano roll, found some cool sounds I liked. I'm bit crushing it, I'm distorting it a little bit. Very crunchy sound. And then we also have, that's our bass layer. Favorite thing to do, you can basically immediately remix any sample by literally just dropping it into Slice X and doing like vocal chops with it. Works with vocal samples, it works with guitar samples obviously, but any melodic sample you can immediately kind of make really cool new patterns with it by just using Slice X. Got this Jersey club pattern going on. It's almost like Latin in feel with the little boom, dim, det, det, det. It has like this like clave rhythm almost in the background. Percussion loop in the background. Same atmospheres as before. Same pluck as before. Yeah. There is some kind of sound in here that I can't see. What is this? That's just the piano. It's like a pew, pew, pew. And then our really big actual drop this time with all the instruments. We add in some guitar layers from Ty. I sent Ty over the melody that I had, and I was like, "Can you play this?" Big guitar, very pitch glidey and stuff. There's what it sounds like without effects. And to make it sound really big, I have a couple layers of it, and they're panned left and right, different amounts. This is basically the same way that those stereo width plugins work. Because if you think if you're listening to something and it's wide, it might hit one of your ears a little sooner than the other one. So literally all I did here is I offset the left and right tracks a little bit. And then it immediately makes the mono track sound a lot wider, and it's pretty clean. Yeah, so I can go effect by effect on here. OTT squashes it, brings out some of the higher tones. Cleaning up some harsh frequencies with an EQ. I had a chorus on here at some point, but I didn't end up using it. reverb, soothe again. Electric guitar can get very unwieldy very quickly because of how distorted it can get, especially for listening in headphones. So soothe does its job very well there. There's a little bit of like electrical noise where it's kind of like popping in the background that I wasn't able to fully get rid of, but you don't really notice it in the final mix, so. This sounds really funny, just on its own. Oh my god, that is horrible to listen to. But I just pitched up the sample by an octave, washed it out in the background, and that just adds a little bit more energy. Also, I have a harmony track that Ty sent. You might recognize this. That is a little lick that I use all the time in my music. And I was like, hey, Telestro, it'd be funny if you played this so I could slot it in somewhere in this song. Especially because it is a homage to an old Disuko song. Let's check out our bass layers. These are kind of cool. Sub bass, but around here, it kind of does its little... which is really neat. I'm just automating the pitch bend on the sub and making it do a little woo. A lot of the time when people make like sub bass lines, they'll just put like the root of the chords and call it at that, but you can get some like really cool patterns if you mess around with the pitch of the sub bass a little bit more. There we go. Then we have some lead layers underneath the guitar to support it a bit. Same square lead as before. We got our same little sine pluck as before. What else did we add? This is a sound I used to use all the time back in the day, and so I wanted to use it in this rendition of Ice Cream. It's from this Snail's House preset pack that I found on Twitter. It had this really sketchy like mega link download. It was all in Japanese. I think Ujiko has actually recently like re-released some of these presets under his Patreon. But anyways, I used to use this preset all the time. Kind of this detuned supersaw thing that has like some formant kind of vibes to it. Yeah, we have two instances of that. A high one and a low one. And that is our main lead behind the guitar for that. And I'm automating the mod wheel for vibrato to kind of mimic what the guitar does with like the whammy bar, which is kind of neat. Let me find... There we go. These are cute. These just go up and down the scale. Something that Porter Robinson does a lot. It's very cute. It makes... I don't know, it adds more like harmonic interest to the song, I suppose. Not much changes here. During the second half, I had a chant, and then I also added these little ride cymbals. It's a little bit more energy. And I think I added a new snare here. This very just like raw tonal acoustic snare. Sounds really cool. It's kind of like pop punky, which I guess is somewhat of the vibe that's going on here. I don't freaking know. Genre doesn't exist. Very euphoric, and then immediately after the drop, we have a little breakdown and we go into this nice little lo-fi section. back into our build-up. So I guess breaking down this little section, our tempo automates down. We get very sleepy, eepy sleepy time, and go into a lo-fi part. Got this background Foley layer that's literally just rustling paper. It's not even like in time with anything. It's literally just back there making our ears feel weird. Same thing as this. It's from this sample pack that literally just has a bunch of like ear candy layers, which is really nice. I'm using those a lot. The effects in this section make it really cool. I used the sound of a chip being crunched, and I used this fade stereo button to kind of make it go from left to right really fast. Adds a little bit more like impact to the snare. It's like I'm crunching the snare like a chip, I guess. I don't fucking know. And then the kick here is very like heavy, which is kind of funny for sidechain or for lo-fi. It's just this big thud, and this sidechain curve is like ridiculous. It's almost like an entire like half a beat. It just completely cuts everything. But with that giant kick, sounds really cool. Blatantly stole this sample from a collab that I'm doing with Wave Meow, which will actually be out on the 16th, this Friday, which I'm excited for. Two releases this week, very awesome. I really liked this little cute effect they did. So I took it and I put it in this song, and there it is. Nice little break. Then we go back into our build-up, onwards to our final drop of this song. This build-up is the same. Not much has changed here, really. Very dramatic ending here with the coolest guitar solo of all time ever in the history of guitar solos ever. I might be biased, but yeah, here's what the final drop sounds like. This lags my computer so much. Oh my god, these super saws are insane. Let me take down the unison on these a little bit, and I'll get some better performance out of my PC. I suppose that makes it so what you're seeing in the video is a little bit different than what is in the actual song, but that's okay. I want it to be hearable. God damn. Oh my goodness. It's so emotional. It's so 2017 future bass gaming music. I used to be really into artists like Flume and what's his name? I'm like a fake producer right now. I'm Elenium. I just forgot what Elenium's name is. That's awesome. But yeah, this very big future bass feel. I haven't done future bass in a while. And I really wanted to for this part. So yeah, we go into this little halftime groove with the drums. I really like the cymbals just like hitting on every single beat, just fucking laying it down. It's awesome. Giant snare, so many snare layers. Let's go through all of those. Insane. So many layers on the snare here. We got nurture snare. Snare from this future bass sample pack I downloaded when I was 13. And a snare from a Virtual Riot preset pack that I pirated. This is like my favorite snare of all time. I love it. Even though I literally pirated the sample pack, the moment I had a Splice subscription, this was like the first sample I downloaded. Good snare. I guess the purpose of each of these, they kind of serve a different purpose. This gives our like main tonal center of the snare. This one's a little bit wider and makes it like brighter. This one makes it kind of like thrashy and cool. This is almost functioning as a clap. I offset it a little bit, which makes the snare a little bit punchier. It kind of comes in after a second, because if you think about like a crowd of people clapping, not everyone's going to be perfectly on time. So when you're doing like big snares like this, offsetting a little clap sample by a little bit can add a lot of impact. Same chant I use in everything. I take a trap chant, pitch it up by an octave, and now it's little children chanting, and it's a lot cuter. Yeah, I guess we can check out the solo. There is a lot of layers in the solo here. Got this really big like mids layer, which kind of gives our main like tone of it. Most of the same effects as before. Some EQs and a soothe to clean up the harmonics in the guitar. Very wide. And then a high layer again. And it's doing the same trick as before, offsetting it so it's a little bit more stereo. And I really like the way that it kind of like swells into it. Sounds really cool. We have the silly little guitar riff from earlier. Where's my tempo automation? It sounds weird. There we go. So sick. Oh my god. Hearing that melody that I wrote like 4 years ago when I was like, oh my god, it was in like it was like 5 years ago. Oh my gosh, 2019 was 5 years ago. Hearing this melody on this big electric guitar with all these freaking sounds in the background is so awesome. Let's check out my Super Saw stack. Possibly the most generic Super Saw stack of all time. We got the little wubby one. One thing that's good to do with Super Saws is kind of to treat them not as like one preset is the entire saw stack, but you have different patches responsible for the different frequency ranges. So this one's very wide and it's EQ'd to only really be like the high end. Pretty simple, just has some OTT and reverb on it. So this one's handling our high end, bringing kind of like the energy to it. Then we have this one, which is handling our midsection, and this is actually done in a really cool way. Instead of using the detune unison, we're using the chaos oscillator, which is a feature in Serum that is just like a bunch of random noise, and if you set the rate all the way up and link it to the coarse tuning of it, it kind of just like, I don't know how to explain it. It makes a very chaotic sound that's still kind of centered around one note. Yeah, so it's a Chaos Super Saw preset. I'll put that in the description for channel members. One thing that's also nice to layer with detuned saw waves is just one or two that's just... This one's like a square, technically, I guess. Is one that's a little bit more focused on just playing the notes. It's a little bit more like crunchy. And our last thing is a Super Saw bass. It's not functioning as our sub bass, but it's kind of just putting the fundamental like tone of the chord, letting it go through a little bit more. It's one of those things that you more like feel than hear. It just adds a lot to it. We have a little string layer in the background. Crazy. Ooh, we got another string layer back here. I looked at that one. I lied. I think that's about it. What do we have here? A hi-hat layer that comes in during the second half. Pretty nature sounds in the background. This part's very emotional. And the last thing, it goes which is just like kind of a little, I don't know, it's a little melodic thing that I like to use it a lot. I don't even know, I guess what's the technical Yeah, dude, we're just going from the 3 to the 1. It's very like powerful, and it works really well for the end of the song. When we fade out, there's the end. We have the at the end. Well, I've been recording for 42 minutes and 42 seconds. Probably annoying the shit out of my roommate, and I could continue rambling about this song probably for another hour, so I'm going to call it there. But yeah, that is how me and Telestro produced Ice Cream, Tai and Disuko's Froyo edition. Out now on all streaming platforms. Be sure to go check out Tai's channel, check out the video that we produced this song for, and save it on Spotify. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you to Tai for producing this song with me, and thank you to channel members for continuing to support the channel, and they will have the download for this project file in the description. It's a little bit messy. There's probably a bunch of really jank plugins, but yeah, that's it. That's it. I don't have a camera. I can't do a camera gag. I need like a VTuber avatar. Okay.